Hello to all dear friends and companions. Welcome to Narrator of the Ancient Land, a place where we will delve into the timeless stories and legends of ancient Iran. In this special project, we intend to read the invaluable book, The Eternal Land for you, step by step. This book is not just a literary work, but a treasure trove of history, myths, and ancient Iranian tales, holding within itself secrets of our nation's cultures and identity. Alongside that, I also want to share the beautiful images I create from these stories and events with you. This means that, in addition to listening to the ancient tales, you will also be able to see the world of these stories with your own eyes. But that's not all. Through this experience, I also want to help you improve your English listening skills. By following the stories, immersing yourself in the language, and hearing the words in context, this channel can also be a fun and engaging way to strengthen your English, especially for those who enjoy history and storytelling. My goal is for us to embark on this journey together, to learn from these tales and to enjoy the beauty of this ancient world. So, if you're ready to step into a new journey through the ancient land in each episode, join the narrator. Before agriculture existed in Iran, no one saw the need for it because there was so much meat that they had no need for farming. The wise people even guessed that the day the Iranians began to eat wheat, their misfortune would start, because the beginning of agriculture and their need for land would follow. The house of Iranban in the city of Silk was no different from the other houses. The city of Silk consisted of a number of houses built on hills or on their slopes overlooking a lake, with a distance of about 200 to 500 meters between each house, according to today's scale. All the houses were made of wood, and the roofs of all houses appeared to have a gali, and every year when the gali grew near the lake and was harvested, the roofs of the houses were replaced. During the rainy season, which began in autumn and lasted without interruption until mid-spring, no drop of water entered the houses, and the rain was so long and intense that when the rainy season ended, they would see that the water level of the Iranian lake had risen by 10 to 15 meters. Therefore, the houses around the lake were built on hills to avoid flooding when the lake water rose. In Silk, everyone knew that Zab and Ruth would marry after the rainy season, and everyone was already happy for the upcoming wedding of the young couple, even before it happened. The rainy season made everyone tired, and even the deer grew weary of the long rain. During the long rainy period, the activity of life in Silk would come to a halt, and people would not go outside. From every house, the sound of a storm could be heard, because the men unable to go outside and sail on the lake would spend their time carving stones to make arrows, knives, and spears. Ruth, before the wedding, would sew clothes for herself using a needle made from deer bone, and would prepare shoes for herself, her father, and her future husband. Ruth was skilled at sewing clothes and shoes, and she would select the skin of fawn for clothing and the skin of an old deer for making shoes, which she called kalcharm, meaning thick leather. Near the city of Silk, due to the collapse of the earth caused by the rain, a type of red clay appeared, which was washed away by the rain every year. After the rain stopped, this clay settled in the pits. The people of Silk called this clay kuz, which means red clay. After the rainy season ended and the clay settled, the father of Ruth would go to the desert, bring back the clay, and make various vessels with his own hands, which he would then fire in a kiln. These vessels would become as hard as a stone, and the people of Silk would receive these vessels from Ruth's father in exchange for deer or cow hides and antlers. Because the father of Ruth made vessels from Kuz clay, he was known as the Kuzegar, which means the potter. When the rainy season ended and the clouds cleared from the sky and the sun shone upon the world, the sky turned the color of the lake, and hundreds of thousands of birds began to sing on the branches of the trees near the lake. At that moment, from all the houses of Silk, a joyful shout would rise, and the sound of Gil could be heard. The sound of Gil in that city was a cry of joy, and every time that sound rang out, it indicated that the people were happy and expressing their joy. Zab and Ruth, with voices louder than the others, would shout Gil, because they knew that the wedding had arrived. And Ruth, while shouting and expressing joy, would prepare the clay vessels that her father had made during the rainy season for sale. But suddenly one of the clay vessels slipped from her hand and fell to the ground without breaking. However, in addition to that, an unusual sound came from it. Ruth picked up the vessel, astonished, and noticed that this vessel was different from the usual ones her father would take out of the kiln. The young girl, who had always known that a clay vessel would break when it fell to the ground, was astounded that this vessel did not follow the natural law she had always known. Surprised, she ran to her father to inform him of this unbelievable event. It is difficult for us to describe the feelings of Ruth at that moment. The potter tested the vessel and confirmed that the clay pot, when dropped, would not break. Although the potter and the people of that time did not possess the intellect of today's people, Ruth's father realized that the clay used to make this pot was different from the clay used for the pots he had made before. On that day, Ruth's father opened a new door of civilization for the Iranians, as he introduced them to copper, and it was for the first time that copper was found in the land of Silk, which today is part of Kashan. Until that time, no one in the world had discovered the existence of copper, and Ruth's father acquainted the Iranians with this metal. If you're enjoying the video so far, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new uploads. Now, let's continue the story. Finally, the long-awaited day arrived, the wedding day of Ruth and Zab, which all the residents of Silk had been eagerly waiting for. Since many people from surrounding areas were coming to the ceremony, Iramban ordered that the wedding be held at the center of the city, by the lake. On that day, all the people, men, women, and children, came down from the hills to participate in the wedding celebration of Zab and Ruth, and sat on the ground by the lake. Iramban, like the others, descended from the hill and sat on the ground by the lake too. The women of Silk decorated antlers with greenery to show their joy, and the men gathered a large amount of fish and ducks. To mark the occasion, they also hunted deer and made a fire. No one congratulated the bride and groom, as the formalities had not yet been established. The people of Silk were simple, and they loved one another. The happiness of a young boy and girl was the happiness of everyone, and there was no flattery among them. After they had eaten their fill and quenched their thirst with pure water, they struck the skins stretched over the pots with sticks, and the sound of drums echoed. Everyone began to dance to the rhythm of the drums, and Iramban also participated in the dance, just like the others. If someone from this time could see the dance by the lake, they would have been astounded. The men had long hair and long beards, and some of the elderly having beards that nearly touched the ground. The women also had long hair, and during the dance, the long hair of the men would mix with their beards, creating a scene that according to modern standards, might be considered wild. The residents of Silk slept until sunrise, and when night was over, the sound of ducks descending from the sky into the reeds by the lake woke them up. Several men ran to bring fire from the homes of Silk, and they kindled a large fire by the lake. That fire stayed light until the morning of the next day. After the wedding, Ruth separated from her father and moved into the house that Zab had built. It wasn't long before she became pregnant. The story is still unfolding. Ancient Iran is full of mysterious and fascinating tales. Stay tuned for the next episode as we uncover another hidden chapter of history. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and join the narrator for the next episode.